mean, there's fatigue and then there's being pooped.
Wow.
Hey, Maniacs.
Hey, Mystery Maniacs. Mystery Maniacs is a comedy recap podcast dedicated to mystery TV. Each week we dig into an episode of the show, including the murders, the mayhem, the loonies, and everything else we love. This week, Brokenwood Mysteries Over Her Dead Body.
Season 3, Episode 2.
I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
Wow. We've been gone 11 million years.
The holidays are tough, man. They're busy. They're crazy. They're overwhelming. And it's end of semester. Whew.
It's funny. There should be on the subreddit a prediction market for when they're going to say they're too overwhelmed.
It would be too easy to win.
It would be.
I'm grateful to be in academia because it means that every few months things kind of change and you get kind of predictable breaks and all of that. But it does mean that there are times of year where it's just too much.
And we had a lot. November and early December were really busy.
We said that about October too, honey.
No, the fall is our busy time.
These people are tired of hearing of how busy we are.
The fall is our busy time.
Thank you for understanding.
Yes.
We were disappointed to not be able to put out an episode last week, but we are back.
Okay, so we've been watching some shows.
We have been.
The new Shetland started, and boy, I think that first episode was the best Shetland first episode in a while.
Yeah, I like the new characters. I am
eager,
happy with it.
Eager for the next episode of Shetland, and that's on BritBox, and then on Acorn we have Adam Dalgleish looking down his nose at everybody.
I love Dalgleish.
Well, the very first P.D. James book I read, which was Devices and Desires, is this week's Dalgleish, and I've been waiting for this since I lived in a house in Toronto in 1993. So
I'm not going to say that it's lighthearted fun.
No,
but it is good. Along the lines of not lighthearted and fun, but I think worth a watch is Black Doves.
Yep,
We
have 2 more episodes of Black Doves to go. And
what's the actress's name? What's her name?
Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley, who I wasn't really crazy about, but she's really good in this.
Yes, and M for Q.
Yeah, Q from
the Bond movies. I call The Hobbit.
The more recent James Bond movies.
Yeah.
It's espionage.
Yep.
Assassins in London.
Yep.
At Christmas time. So it's holiday themed.
Easily the slow horses could be running around in the background of that show.
Absolutely. They could totally run into them. But it's fun.
Yep.
It does have some humor in it, some quirky characters, but there is a lot of shooting. It is
the genre of young woman tries to have family and be an
spy
assassin.
And an assassin.
There's a genre.
Yeah. There's also some really fun stuff coming out very soon, meaning this week.
Yes. So Sister Boniface Christmas special is on December 17th. And I think that's probably the first thing that Jude worked on before her passing. So
it's the first thing to be released that she was part of since she died.
So I would imagine there's probably going to be a dedicated to at the beginning or the end of that episode. And then
Chelsea
Detective starts.
I really like Chelsea 16th. Detective.
Yep.
Yeah. It will be out the day that this podcast is out.
Yes. Also, BritBox released their whole 2025 schedule, which was impressive, including a new Lindley that will be in late 2025.
Yeah. If you haven't watched Lindley, there is an older version. Is it from the early 90s? Something like that. That's well worth watching. But I'm excited about the cast for the new one. I think it looks like it's going to be good.
I think the Lindley from the 90s did such a good job with his DCI.
Yeah.
That it was groundbreaking for women's television. Like
women in television. Female characters in crime shows for sure.
They told a lot of her stories that were women centric.
Yeah.
Like taking care of her mom and just that were new stories at that time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Absolutely.
So lots of things that are worth a watch that are out. Lots of things that are coming out this week that are worth a watch. If there's something that you've been checking out that you think other people would like, let us know or post it on the socials.
Our two main shows, Midsummer Murders, is going into production in the new year, and Brokenwood has just wrapped season 11.
Nice.
And I follow Fern Sutherland,
who plays Kristen Sims,
on Instagram, and there was a nice picture of her and her man at a restaurant afterwards, and I thought, oh, that's cute, and it was kind of an interesting picture she posted. And then there was, on Instagram where it has the little the dots at the bottom. So there's more. So I was like, oh, is there another picture of them being cute? No. And this is why I think Fern Sutherland is our people. So either Fern or her partner covered their bathroom in Old Greg memes. That they printed. Old Greg. If you don't know what Old Greg is, it's from the Mighty Boosh, a comedy
Noel
series
Fielding,
in
who
the
you might have
early
seen
2000s,
on the British baking show,
who plays this character named Old Greg, who has a mangina that produces light.
Blinding light.
There is a picture of Old Greg using his mangina in Kristen Sims in Fern Sutherland's bathroom.
That's awesome.
She is our kind of people.
Yeah, she's our kind of people. Yeah. That's funny.
And she tagged the post Old Greg, so
nice.
she is an Old Greg fan.
Speaking of social media stuff, couple of new posts on the subreddit that you might want to check out that I've put up. One is photos of homemade gifts you're making for this year. I made a quilt for a coworker's baby that's coming in February. I put a picture of that up there. And I've also been making these singlada balls from Sweden that are very cool that I'm giving to a bunch of people. So I've got a photo up there. So if you're making some homemade gifts this year, post some photos. I also posted a thread about your holiday food favorites. What are you making that you're excited about? Share a recipe, share a photo.
Absolutely.
These are things that I think we all have in common. We all make stuff and we all eat stuff. So it's good stuff to share. Are you ready to talk about Cluedo?
Well, there's lots to talk about in this episode, but we have to talk about, before we get to Cluedo, we have to talk about the first, like this episode is two things stuck together. And sometimes with peanut butter and chocolate, that works magnificently.
Peanut butter and dill pickles, not so much.
Exactly. And I think these two great ideas don't go well together. So the first idea is what we're presented with really in the cold open, which is there's a funeral for this man named Declan. He's a poet. He plays a video at his funeral. What do you think of that?
I think a certain kind of person can pull it off.
Can I do a video for my funeral?
It depends what you're going to say. Like if it's and I never liked any of you anyway, and you're not getting my money.
That? Why would you do that?
There are jerky people who would do that.
Oh.
But if it's, hey, you're here to celebrate me and I appreciate you and I'm, thank you for being in my life, and that's fine, I think.
I love you all. Well, not you. To me, it's kind of a way to get the last word too, which is kind of
funeral's not about you.
Yeah, funeral's
if you're
about
the dead person.
People.
Yeah. So it's Declan.
Mrs. M plays the funeral because of course she does.
She's not good.
No.
She's as good at the organ as Mr. Bugle is at the sax. And that's saying something.
But that is Anglican church organ player to the max.
Mr. Bugle's name is Bugle. He should play a bugle.
That's true. And that's a goof.
So Declan is a poet.
Yep.
And
he's got books for sale in the foyer.
Yeah. The money's going to a charity.
Yeah.
That's not a charity.
I don't believe that's a charity.
I have great sympathy for writers of episodes like this where there's either like music that's supposed to be like world changing, like the Midsummer Melody kind of thing, or a poet, because the writer has to write the poems. Somebody has to write the poems, and they're so bad.
I think he purposely makes bad poetry here because this is written by Tim Baum too. I think he doesn't like these people.
Yeah.
He doesn't like that archetype of the Irish writer who's drunk all the time, who loves all women. I think he hates that trope. So because he makes him look so pathetic throughout this whole episode.
Yeah, I mean, he had sex with somebody who wasn't of age and ran away from the crime. And we're going to spoil this episode.
Yes.
Forgot to say that.
Yes.
Everybody should know that by now.
We did. You should know that by now.
Yeah, he's not likable. Well, really, nobody's likable in this except Jared and his aunt.
Yeah.
And his aunt is questionable.
Well, and I kind of like Bugle because he's so goofy.
Yeah,
but
he's fun, but he's not likable.
he's all tatted up. Did you know that?
No.
His IMDb picture, he's got chest and arm tattoos and nose and earrings and also he's all tatted up.
Good for him.
Yep.
So the dead poet Declan and his body not being in his casket, that's one story, right? And then the other story is the story of this murder mystery game that is based on Clue or Cluedo, depending on where you live, that happened the night before he died.
Yes.
And those are two fun plots, but together, I don't know. I mean, they work okay, but it just makes one of them feel shoehorned, I think. Neither one of them gets enough, but it's still a fun episode.
I do. And I think where it falls apart is like who owns the house and things like that.
Oh, the Wadsworths?
Yeah, the Wadsworths and stuff like that.
So I have a question about the initial scene. The casket falls open, even though it's screwed shut.
Yes.
Like airtight,
Did
screwed
notice
shut.
that. Yep. It can get a bit whiffy.
Yeah. But then Bugle is obsessed with putting this piece of black fabric over the passenger side door of the hearse, and I don't know why he's doing that.
I don't know why he's doing that at all. It's so weird.
Like to block the view of what? The driver's seat? I don't understand why he's doing that.
I don't know. And now the dead body here does a pretty good job.
Yeah,
Now,
she does.
of course, they're not in the casket when it comes out of the car or anything, but this is the joke that you always think about at a funeral, you know. What if it opens at the wrong time?
Or what if they drop it?
Yeah, what if
You're
they
always
drop-
worried
yeah.
the pallbearers are going to drop it.
Yeah.
I also don't know why the killer strips her naked.
Yeah, that's weird.
Why can't she still have her dress on?
Also, yeah, it's the person who comes out the worst in this episode is this poor woman who came from San Francisco to play a board game in real life with these people, which again, I'm like, that's a big trip.
I don't even know how she knew about it. It's not like if they're posting on the internet about it, then the cops should have found out about it real fast.
Do you think you would drive across town to do that?
No. And Kushla, the she-demon of the local newspaper, takes a photo of the corpse in the casket.
Yeah.
And then puts it on the front of the newspaper.
Puts it on the front of the newspaper with some interesting headlines.
That is not okay. This poor woman has been stabbed. Her body has been desecrated. And you're snapping photos of her and putting them on the newspaper. That's not right.
The boss calls Breen wrong names all the time. And I have Ginger Spleen in my notes.
Keep up the good work, Spleen. Hughes is great in this episode.
Hughes is fantastic.
Bugle funerals where life and death shake hands. This is Warren.
Warren is everything wrong about trying to market your business.
I love that he can't remember the gender of anyone.
No.
But he does remember the first letter of their first name.
Yes.
And calls them, like, if the body is Alex, he says Andrea.
And the thing is, he does such a good job of adding that that you think it's going to be a clue.
Yeah,
and then it's not.
And then he's wrong.
Yeah.
Did you notice his phone ring?
No.
Mr. Bugle's phone.
Oh, it's that like funeral march. The dun 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 dun.
Do you know what that is?
No.
What that song is?
No.
So it's Chopin's funeral march, which makes sense. It sounds like a funeral march.
It does.
It was written in the 1840s.
It's a dirge, you know.
Can you guess the first funeral that it was known to be played at?
Okay. Chopin, right? Mm-hmm. So this is 19th century.
He wrote it in the 1840s, yes.
1840s. Let's go crazy and say Abraham Lincoln.
No.
Okay.
Chopin's funeral.
Oh, his own funeral?
Yeah.
He wrote it. Did he write it for his own? Oh.
No.
That's weird.
But it was played at Kennedy's funeral, at JFK's funeral.
It's a sad little number there. I think it's in D minor. So
I think by the 1960s, it was already kind of a parody of itself. It's weird that they played it at the funeral.
Because I think that probably the Addams Family ripped on it, like the original black and white TV show. And they would have been riffing on it all over. I know that they used it in bad horror movies in the 50s and 60s.
Totally. Yeah. That's what I mean. I think it was already a parody of itself. It probably was during Chopin's lifetime. It was kind of a parody of itself. But the first recorded playing of it at a funeral is at Chopin's funeral.
I'm sure it's used in Looney Tunes, which was 40s. So, yeah.
Well before JFK died. I hadn't noticed until rewatching this episode that the church that Reverend Green works at is St. Judas.
St. Judas.
I'm like, why would they call a church St. Judas?
Yeah.
But it's not Judas Iscariot.
No, it's
the apostle who betrayed Jesus.
It's Judas the Saint.
It's St. Jude.
Yeah.
But another version of his name is Judas. If it was Judas Iscariot, that'd be a different kind of church.
That's a different kind of church. The priest is so pale in this episode.
Did
you
very.
notice that?
Does he have a mustache later or something?
He's enormously pale.
Or his eyebrows are darker in this or something. There's something different about his face that changes later. He softens his face a bit.
Much like Bugle, I forget my own first name constantly, so I have it tattooed to my body.
Yeah.
Why would you tattoo your own name to your body?
Scarlett has Scarlett tattooed on her hip. And it is her actual name. It's not just her favorite character.
Yeah.
I love that Breen knows what font it's in.
Well,
probably because it's in a stupid font.
Okay, did you notice the little Easter egg they dropped in about the fonts?
I guess not.
Later in that scene, Breen walks in front of his computer, and open on his computer is this huge document with the word Scarlet, Scarlet, Scarlet,
I didn't notice that.
Scarlet.
So he was looking for it.
He was using his computer to see all the fonts.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Right? You just copy it over and over again and change the font on every line.
Now, Bugle has a worksheet. I want to see his worksheet.
Okay, I want to know about the painting that's in the room where the display caskets are. Did you see it?
No, what was that?
I've got a screenshot of it. It's a big painting. It's a big canvas, maybe 4 feet by 4 feet, something like that. And it's kind of quartered.
Okay.
And the top 2 quarters look like jellyfish. And then one of the bottom quarters is apples. And then the other one has a basket.
Okay.
Like 4 completely incongruous objects.
Oh.
Painted in a naive way, I'll say. I'll say it's naive.
I guess.
It's weird. It's certainly weird for a funeral home.
Why is Mrs. Marlowe at the unturning?
Oh, when they disinter the body? Because she's the only one who can recognize him. He has no family.
That's right.
Yeah, she has to identify.
Such a horrible toupee.
She has to identify Arthur.
He is the dead body of the episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's super good. And that's not a manufactured body. That is a person in very good makeup.
Yeah.
He looks not quite rotten, but getting there.
Yep.
And I love that Mrs. Marlowe is so practical. And I think a lot of people of that age get to that point where a lot of people have died. You just kind of get matter of fact about it.
Yeah. Even like when my mom passed this summer and we were at the graveyard, my brother was like walking around talking about people that he recognized.
Pointing at graves and talking about people.
Yeah.
But I also think that you're just maybe less squeamish about a body.
Yeah.
When you get to a certain age. I think my grandmother was like that because she lived in an old folks home for a while and people died there all the time.
Yeah.
You just got used to it.
You definitely get used to it.
You miss people who are your friends, but their body didn't bother you. Mrs. Marlowe is perfectly happy to be in the middle of everything. She is totally pleased to come and identify Arthur's body.
Absolutely pleased about that.
And his bad toupee.
We find out that Declan wrote this poem for you that Can You Sign It for Melody Lady is like, that's the woman that he is accused of being in a relationship when she was underage. Like that. When you watch it again...
To be fair, we don't know they had a relationship.
Yeah.
He was charged with having sex with a minor.
Sorry. he took advantage of her.
She was the
there
minor.
There was no relationship.
Yeah, she was the minor, though, and he doesn't even recognize her now.
Doesn't even recognize
I don't know if he does or not. He certainly plays like he doesn't.
Yeah.
But he kind of gives away that maybe he does.
And so at this point...
But he can't admit that he knows her because he's living under an assumed name.
At this point in the episode, I had forgotten about the whole Clue thing. So I was like, there's an hour of this episode left to go.
Yeah.
What is going to happen? The whole Clue thing.
Even after you saw the Scarlet tattoo, you didn't remember?
I had forgotten all about it. So I was like, what are you going to talk about for an hour? And so then we get into the whole rebranding of the funeral parlor, which must be a weird thing.
Yes.
It's definitely, and we get the bit whiffy line. But so what happens next? And I don't know if you noticed this, but Mike goes home to read the poems. Mm-hmm. And I watched this over again. Let's assume that he had a full day of work. He starts after work. Mm-hmm. And Sims is going to go to the mansion. Mm-hmm. It's suddenly dark out of nowhere. Like there's no dusk scene at all. It's like day and then suddenly night.
Yes.
And not like dusk. It's like the middle of the
So has Mike been sitting there drinking wine for hours? He'd be sozzled.
I guess. And then the priest does everything to make him look as guilty as possible in this episode because he takes off right away.
Well, all these stupid people who don't just say we were there the night before for a party. Mm-hmm. And that woman was there, but we don't know what happened to her.
Yeah.
Like they just make themselves look so guilty because they don't want to admit they were having a harmless party. You start to wonder if they were having some kind of sex orgy or something. Like what get together was it that you were so afraid to admit you were having?
Yes.
The first time they show Wadsworth Manor, so at the funeral, Brenda White, who's the housekeeper, reads a letter from the Wadsworths about Declan, about him being an amazing gardener. But I kind of missed that he was their gardener. So the first time they show the house, I'm like, man, poets make bank in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Because that is a house. I totally forgot that he was just the gardener there.
The two places where this falls apart is the Wadsworths and the house. And the second part is the trip to Thailand for cancer research. Mm-hmm. Like, it's really hard to fake cancer. Like, you have to be surrounded by a whole bunch of stupid people. Not only is he surrounded by smart people, but a doctor who would know, who would say things to him like, what medications are you on? And, you know, as a friend and a doctor, I would want to be interested.
At least somebody in his life would say, let me help you change the dressing on your head from your surgery.
That is by far
the
worst fake dressing ever.
It's just a headband.
It's just a headband.
Okay, so I have to tell you, this headband makes me think of another headband.
Okay.
So one of my uncles, my favorite uncle.
Yes.
In the 70s, when I was very small, obviously, was quite the hippy dippy.
Yes,
right?
He was.
He had kind of an afro hairdo and wore, what do they call those shirts? Tashikis?
Something.
Like that, yeah. And I remember him having a white headband on. And his fro was like floofing out underneath it and over it. And me thinking that it was a weird style choice he was making. And until I was about 30, I had that image in my head of my uncle wearing that goofy ass headband.
We all wore headbands.
With your fro?
Yep.
And then I learned that he had ear surgery.
Oh.
And it was a bandage.
It was a bandage.
And he was wearing a bandage. For like a month, he had to wear this bandage.
But that is
at this
so weird.
This rakish angle that went from one side of his head to the other and over his ear.
Why is that over his ear?
But for like 30 years, I was like, damn, my uncle had some weird style when I was a little kid. There's a photo of it. Like, this poor man. And when I saw Declan's head dressing, I was like, is that a fashion statement or is that a bandage? I don't know anymore. I don't trust myself.
It's just horrendous. It's just horrendous. So the newspaper titles are the following. Boo, who was Declan's mystery woman?
Okay.
Okay. But the second headline is the best.
Boo, like ghost boo?
Yeah, I think so.
Not like you're my boo.
No.
Okay. Who was Declan's mystery boo?
So, in an effort to expose Bugle funeral homes, we have the following sentence. Kicking the bucket or dropping the casket. Funeral director blunder reveals macabre mystery. That is so small town.
Kicking the bucket or dropping the casket?
Yeah.
That's not, those aren't opposites.
I know.
The face you're making.
I know they're not opposites. It's an attempt at parallel construction, which fails.
What should the headline be?
It should be, who is this woman? Can you
Do
help
you know
us?
do you
Can
know
help
this
us
woman?
Identify this woman.
That would be the most kind of sympathetic human sort of, mystery woman needs identifying. Do you know her?
Well, thank God. Thank goodness across the top of the page, man builds 8-volt enhancer is still there. You still don't know what that is.
He's still doing the enhancement, whatever it is.
Did you see the title of Declan's first book? Which is, again, why I think they're totally goofing on this stereotype.
No.
Woman in bloom, man in trouble.
Oh, that's right. It's very Bukowski or
It's
something. I don't know what they're trying to pull.
Yeah, it's so totally like that.
It's just that overly sexualized male poet that is supposedly super attractive, but also repellent at the same time. You just can't resist, but you want to. And he just doesn't pull that off.
No, he doesn't.
At all.
No.
When he's coming on to Scarlet in the billiard room, it's just gross.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't think they're sympathetic to this character trope at all. Because if you watch it again, knowing what you know, he looks horrible right from the very beginning.
Yes. So the Wadsworths go to France for the winter.
From New Zealand, where the winter is reversed.
Yeah. Well, we don't know. Do we know the date?
Well, no, but they said they went for the winter.
Okay. So it's the winter in New Zealand, which would make it
The
summer in France.
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
So that would be nice. Right?
Not that it appears to get bad at all.
No, they have some jackets sometimes. But they apparently trust Brenda and Declan with their home.
Yeah.
And let them have parties and are okay with that.
I guess.
And let the psychiatrist and the minister sleep over. And this whole Dr. Plummer stayed over because he didn't want to drive all the way back to Riverstone.
Yeah.
When it's 10 minutes away.
Well, he's also doing patient reports while he's there. That's not
HIPAA.
No.
I'm sorry.
That's
no.
But the biggest question I have about the Wadsworth house is, can Jared come and do our yard?
Yeah.
Because he does some fantastic work on this
Hey,
yard.
Declan can work on our yard for all I care.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's on the run. If he's that good at gardening, he can do our yard.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd survive it, but we've got burrs out there that know your name. Mark, come here. I'll stick to your shorts.
So now we begin to get hit over the head with the Clue references.
That's after Hughes says he's going to hot yoga.
Yes.
And boar hunting.
Hughes is just, and he shows up, says an extreme activity, calls Breen the wrong name, and is out.
Yeah.
That is his game. Oh, he drops some exposition.
Yeah.
That's it.
Here's a report from some group that you ask for it.
Yeah.
Hi, Spleen. See you later. I'm off to fight a boar barehanded.
See you later, Ginger Spleen.
Yeah, so we're led to believe that this group of people spontaneously realized their last names were coincidentally very close to the names of the characters in Clue.
Starlet Ming is an unfortunate name.
We've got Janelle Peacock,
Yep.
Brenda White, Dr. Plum,
Yep.
the dog who is Mutard, which is mustard,
Yes.
which Declan
Who
plays.
names their dog Mutard?
Nobody where we live.
Okay.
Here, if somebody heard you call your dog Mutard, they would say, that is so rude.
You're using the MR word.
That's the R word just changed.
With moo at the front.
Yeah, it's like a cow person bad name. I can't even say it. Like a mentally disabled cow.
Yeah.
That's what you're calling your dog. Mutard. That's not right.
So,
and is the dog Declan? No.
No.
Like,
again, it's the details that make both of these
lots of
stories
people
work.
called him the Colonel. They did?
Why?
Then you have the Reverend Green.
Did he lie about being in service too?
Yeah. And then you have Scarlet, who in the flashbacks of prior game parties is played by some woman who gets to sit down at the table.
That's it.
But now,
She needs to be replaced, and they find Scarlet Ming.
though no one knows in town that they do this because they've kept it top secret, a woman on the literal other side of the planet has heard about this game.
Well, there's a Discord for sad, broken board game LARPers.
Oh, I didn't know that. But it must be a private one because the cops can't find it to figure out what they were doing the night before the death.
No.
So, and apparently, though Miss Scarlet runs this like fashion house and has a store and a social presence and everything, nowhere on that does she say, I'm headed to New Zealand to participate in a Cluedo weekend. It's going to be so fun.
No.
Because then they would have identified her a lot sooner.
So, okay. So let's talk about two things, and then we'll get to the most useless subplot of all time. The first thing is Cluedo itself. So why is it called Cluedo? Do you remember? I don't think we talked about this.
No.
It's Clue plus Ludo.
So Clue game.
Clue game.
Okay.
Created, do you know where it was created and by whom?
No, I do not.
1943 by Anthony E. Pratt, which is an unfortunate name because he was British.
Tony Pratt.
Tony Pratt, and then moved to America and purchased by Hasbro. He had kind of a rough life.
What year
afterwards.
did he invent the game?
1943.
So just the beginning of World War II?
Yes.
That's a weird time to invent this game. And did it always have like the British country house kind of theme to it?
Always, because he was influenced by Agatha Christie. This is an Agatha Christie influence game.
It just surprises me that there was any market for board games at the beginning of World War II.
I really don't understand it because, like,
I guess it's
should I read the
inexpensive.
news about Hitler invading Poland or
It's
play a game?
inexpensive entertainment.
Yeah,
It's escapist.
I guess so.
I get that, I guess.
And it was the company that originally manufactured it was the Waddingtons, which is why they're named Waddington.
Nice.
Okay. And then till 1949, then it moved to America. Now, in 1993, they tried to do a 50th anniversary version of the game, but they found out they were going to do it with Pratt, but they found out he had died 3 years before. Like, he just became a nobody.
Oh.
It's
That's
kind of
sad.
sad. Like, it's definitely
What
sad.
year did the movie come out?
The movie would have been 86 or 87.
So he was alive
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah, and probably didn't go to the premiere and stuff.
I don't think he was involved at all. We watched that documentary
yeah.
about the movie, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's definitely.
And he probably made no money.
No.
He probably got like $20 for it or something and signed away the license.
Now, the Cluedo, there's no Brokenwood Cluedo. But there is two versions of Midsummer Cluedo, right? So there's Midsummer with Tom and there's Midsummer with John. There's two versions of the Cluedo game for Midsummer. And we've talked about this before on...
We have neither of them.
No, we don't have, and we don't need either of them. We've talked about this before of local newspapers using Midsummer to get clicks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I read from this article from the Eastern Daily Press, which is Midsummer Murders gets new Norfolk twist in new Cluedo board game.
Where is this newspaper?
I would say somewhere near Norfolk.
Okay.
Okay, so this local woman named Hannah Radokova, who's 29, plays a fortune teller character in the new Cluedo for the new version with John Barnaby.
So it's her in the photographs of the
Yep.
character in the game?
Yep.
Okay.
And she says, I did play the original Cluedo, and I have told my friends I'll be available for box signings. But then comes 2 fantastic paragraphs of stuff. So the first paragraph says, Miss Radikova used to be an illustrator for children's books, but has suffered from ME for more than 3 years and needs to take constant rest. That's chronic fatigue syndrome. She currently blogs about her condition at superpooped.blogspot.com.
I mean, there's fatigue and then there's being pooped.
Wow. That's just fantastic.
I've never understood pooped being slang for being tired anyway.
This is so local paper tries to put Midsummer in the news so that it gets clicks.
Like the shoehorn is breaking
Yep.
at this point. I mean, good for her for sharing her story. It's probably helpful to other people, but
I'm not laughing at her.
No.
I'm laughing at the newspaper.
At the newspaper, like all this woman did was get paid to model for a character to be photographed, and the character is used in a board game.
And she's sort of local.
Kind of local.
Yeah. So the question.
But her blog is called Superpooped.
The second question I have for you is, what board game would you want to play in real life?
Like they're playing at a party like this?
Yes.
And I can pick any board game I want.
Any board game you want.
And you can make it possible.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have to choose a board game that's possible.
No. While you're thinking, I'll give you a couple of examples.
Okay.
I always loved the chess scene from the History of the World Part 1.
Yeah.
So the live people chess is always fantastic. And there's always, in any Three Musketeers French Revolution movie, there's this
human chess
thing. I've noticed, because I've been out at the places where the kids are lately, that there's like people play Connect 4 at bars.
Yeah.
Like there's a big life, like it's not like regular Connect 4 that you play on the table. It's like a big thing, and you drop things in it and you play Connect 4 while you're drinking your drinks and listening to your hippie hop music.
That makes sense, because you don't have to learn it. It's basically tic-tac-toe kind of.
I'd say that there were several times when I packed the children into the van that I was reminded of the game of life with all those pink and blue pegs in the back of the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
And doctors kind of surgeons play Operation every day as a game anyway.
Except there's nothing in your body that goes and shocks them when they hit it. I hope. I don't know. I'm kind of torn between Mousetrap. Do you ever play Mousetrap?
Yes.
It's that big, like, Rube Goldberg machine convoluted
Which
thing.
never had all the parts in it.
Oh, you lost a part immediately.
You lost a part immediately.
And I think that would be fun. And we saw this happen on a show, Battleship. What show was that where they played Battleship?
Oh, it was Physical 100.
No,
it was the mental version of that.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
But they played real Battleship, not with battleships, obviously, but with people in little boats.
Yes.
And that would be fun.
That would be fun.
And I could choose who gets to go in the boats, right?
Yes. I always thought it would
And the
be
mortar
cool
blows up underneath the boat.
to play like card games with giant cards too.
That would just be hard. I can't hold a hand of cards anyway.
So.
Like Uno, you know?
I just thought we should talk about games that you might want to play in real life.
I tell you one I don't want to play, Snakes and Ladders.
Snakes and ladders in real life is bad news.
That is terrifying. I don't like ladders. I don't like heights. Nor do I want to slide down the back of a gigantic snake.
Some of those snakes are humongous.
No, thank you.
No.
Chutes and ladders, fine. Well, the ladders still don't thrill me, but at least there's slides. It's just slide, like a playground slide. I'm not sliding down on a snake.
No.
No, thank you. Declan, when he's hitting on Scarlett in the billiard room, is laying limericks down as come-on lines.
Yeah.
They never give a whole limerick.
Yes.
Don't Google the lines or the limericks that you hear.
I'm sure.
You don't want to know what the rest of it is.
So how old were we? We were probably 10 or 11. It's prime time, right? We discovered this book on my friend Davin's mother's bookshelf called the Limerick. It was easily 3,000 pages of limericks.
Like one limerick per page or something?
No.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Well, they're not hard to write.
I would assume that every limerick that was ever written down was put in this book.
Was
And
Nantucket mentioned?
we would sit on his bed and laugh our asses off at that book.
Wow.
Oh my God. I'm sure we read limericks for days and just laughed and laughed and laughed and didn't get half of the jokes, but
Well, the ones that Declan's laying down are racist, and I don't even know why Scarlett laughs at them.
I know. So the most useless subplot in this episode.
Declan is Jared's father.
Yeah, why is this even in here?
It's not needed.
Just not needed at all. There's a DNA test.
It's an excuse for Aunt Tina to go around yanking people's hair.
I don't want to go to a psychiatrist who can't recognize cancer in another person.
Who doesn't even say, your cheeks are awfully rosy for somebody going through chemo, Declan.
Yeah, like, you still got a medical degree.
Where did he go when he said he went to Thailand?
I think he just went off with the Mrs. White.
Just on the boat, just hanging
Well,
out.
okay. More importantly, between the funeral and when he steals the boat, right? It is implied that he is hiding.
Where?
Where? And when he goes to get the boat, why is Mrs. M not going, there's Declan?
Yeah. Maybe he's hanging out in Janelle's
He
florist
was
shop
a famous person
in a small town.
in a small town.
Maybe he wrapped his whole head in bandage,
Me,
like the Invisible Man, and nobody recognized him.
I guess.
Maybe he put on Scarlett's dress.
Maybe.
That's what they did with it. He was prancing around dressed as her. Nobody recognized him.
We will find out that Roxy likes margaritas.
Roxy's a goer.
She is quite
She's
the
got
go.
tattoos, margaritas, does pole dancing, dances on tables.
Yep.
Spleen's got quite the girlfriend.
Yes. And we have a new lawyer, Mrs. Temple.
Miranda.
Yes.
She's a divorce lawyer who also does criminal law. No.
Well, small town lawyers got to do a bunch of stuff.
That's a big difference.
But everything starts falling apart here when they start doing timelines and start doing where was this person when this happened.
They didn't get their story together. For people
No.
who play a murder game, they should be better at alibis.
They-
Did the ambulance help move the body or not?
Yes.
When Janelle is like, well, maybe Brenda moved him. Yeah, Brenda picked up a dead Declan and moved him into the cottage by herself.
I guess.
And nobody saw her do it. No, he's duped two women.
Yeah.
Brenda thinks she's going away with him, and Janelle thinks that he's in love with her too. Those two never compared notes. They never picked up on each other, and they're both jealous of Scarlett.
Yeah.
What has he got going on? Yeah, he's not super Mr. Sexy Guy.
No.
He's not wealthy,
No.
not attractive.
He tells racist limericks.
He's not clever.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it. I mean, it should have been like Russell Crowe or something.
Yeah.
Playing Declan, you know?
Mike goes to buy a rug. Okay. How annoying would that be to the poor rug guy?
Yeah.
Because the rug guy is trying to sell his rugs, right? That's what he does. And Mike comes in interested in rugs and then just leaves.
He does a total Barnaby.
Yeah.
In the middle of a conversation, he figures something out and goes rushing off and leaves people going, what? Huh?
Yeah.
What just happened? And he leaves his rug.
Yes.
Are they going to clean the rug or are they just going to throw it away? I don't know. I got to measure first. Bye. And he's off.
Yeah. He totally Tom Barnaby's it. The boat is Mrs. Smith. Who names a boat Mrs. Smith?
Boats have stupid names.
Yes.
Take it easy, name.
My new boat is called Ginger Spleen. So Mike puts, who does he put in the cell?
Plumber? No. Janelle.
Yeah, he puts Janelle in the cell. And
Nice rhyme.
he twists the knob of the the thing. It's not really a key. That's not how locks work.
She could just reach around and untwist it.
Mike kind of fiddles with it for a while. Too.
It's like a Murdoch cell.
Yeah, it's really, really weird.
We do find out that Plummer did stay over at the Wadsworth house the night of the party.
Yeah.
But he left before Declan died.
Yeah.
But so did Reverend Green.
Yes, and it is not talked about in a perfect way here because he comes to the doctor's door when they're looking for the doctor.
Green is in Plummer's room in the middle of the night.
And it's not discussed. It's not like, oh my God, they're gay, so they're the killers.
Yeah.
Which would have been what it was in the 1980s.
Yeah.
You know, none of that.
No. And they end up together later.
Yes.
So, but it's assumed that that's why Plummer has a divorce lawyer.
Yes.
Because he's in love with Reverend Green.
Yes. And they do have a full, interesting relationship.
Later.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they go check out Mrs. Smith and Breen goes out onto, no, Jared does. Jared goes out onto the boat and checks it out because Mike won't go on the water because he doesn't like boats. The old New Zealand accent kicks in.
Yes.
And Jared says that there's nobody on the boat. And he says something about the deck either side of the companionway. He says, this is Mrs. Smith's thighs. And you could kind of see it as a reference to the deck either side of the companionway, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But when he says it in his New Zealand accent.
Yes.
And the old dick deck thing kicks in. And he says, the dick either side of the companionway, and I almost spit soda on my laptop because it is what he's talking about thighs and everything else. And he says, the dick either side of the companionway. I'm like, you did that on purpose.
In my notes, I have, why is anyone in love with Declan?
Yeah.
Mike goes to buy a pie.
No. Why does he go buy a pie? Like, I'll just stop and get a snack for this stakeout.
I guess.
Because I know what's going to happen. I mean,
he's going to a stakeout.
They're on the boat chase and he's not going on the boat chase. So he may as well have some lunch.
Yep.
You know, I'm surprised he eats in his car.
Yeah, he does. So
it's yet another exciting Brokenwood boat chase, though.
And what we find is the boat is empty.
Yep. And there's no one on it, and the rudder has been roped.
Boats are really hard to control.
Not this one. It self-drives with just a rope.
Just self-drive.
It avoids all the shallows and the little islands and the crags and crevices and just heads way out to sea all by itself.
And we're stuck with two horrible people in a car. One is Mrs. White, who killed Miss Scarlet.
The worst thing about Mrs. White is how much she lies about knitting.
Oh.
She can't knit.
She cannot knit at all.
And Sims doesn't know crap about knitting. She's like, that's quite the complex pattern. Like, no, it's not. It's garter stitch in one color on straight needles. It's fourth grade knitting at best.
This is why
with acrylic yarn. It's crap.
Come to Mystery Maniacs, folks.
Only an evil person knits baby booties out of cheap acrylic yarn on big straight needle. You can't knit baby booties on straight needles. I'm done.
Okay.
Sorry.
So she's horrific. And then it all comes out how horrific Declan is.
Yeah.
And
they're staring at each other in the car like, what? You killed, you're who?
And
you did what?
I love how Mike just leaves.
Mike's like, you guys deserve each other.
Yeah.
Here's some scissors.
By the way, Jared's not your son, and your poem's about your mother. Scene.
And why do you keep 6-inch scissors in your knitting bag? Those are sewing scissors. No.
Stabbing somebody with scissors in the chest would have created a cascade of blood.
I don't know. If you left him in until they were dead.
They were good scissors, though. I had to get them back.
She did have that red lace double layer dress on.
Yes.
That probably absorbed a lot of it.
Maybe.
That they took off of her and did what with?
Where is that dress?
Brenda, not only do you lie about knitting, but you stripped a woman naked.
Where?
For no reason.
Where? Okay.
What did she do with the rug?
She hid the body and then explained to Declan, like...
And then slipped into the funeral home and swapped them.
Where was the body through all this?
What did she do with the heavy bags they put in the casket?
Where?
Brenda's very capable.
Yeah.
She's an evil liar about knitting, but she's very capable.
I guess.
And she's pregnant, so she's got some goals.
Yeah, in the end, that's the thing I dislike the most is the whole I'm crazy because I'm pregnant.
I don't think we're supposed to think she's hormonally crazy. It's more like I've got a reason to protect this future that we've planned together now, and I'll do whatever it takes.
Also, Sarah, you've stabbed this Scarlet lady with your favorite scissors. Because
my deadbeat, fake cancer, on the run from the police boyfriend flirted with her. That's why I'm killing her. Yeah.
Okay. So you've hid the body. Mm-hmm. Now there are people staying. Reverend
it makes
Green,
it look like she just rolls her up in the rug and puts the rug behind the couch.
Bodies don't smell. They don't get whiffy.
Well, and nobody's going to see that rug back there.
No. So the doctor and the priest are there overnight. Is Mrs. Peacock there overnight?
No.
Okay. So she comes the next morning. Okay. So
to
all
pick
this
flowers because Declan lets her pick flowers from the Wadsworth Garden to sell in her floral shop.
Yep. All this. Okay. So then everybody shows up in the morning. People are waking up. You're feeding breakfast. Now is the time that you decide to clean the murder weapon in full view of everyone in the kitchen.
Anybody who happens to walk in is like, why are you washing scissors? Never mind the big question through all of this. Everybody's, you finally figure out where everybody is. Where was Moutard? Maybe he helped hide the body.
And okay. So, and I hate to go back to this because I've gone back to it so many times in so many podcasts. She had to remove the scissors. When she removed the scissors, did she leave them in the body for a long enough time to get them out to then that it wouldn't be bleed? Like, there would be blood everywhere.
I'm much more troubled by her moving a body alone.
Yeah. And
out of the house to the funeral home, swapping out the weighted bags they put in the casket to put her in.
Yeah. And plus, when she found the weighted bags in the casket, wouldn't she be like, did she know Declan was not dead also?
She must have, yes.
So
she and Janelle were both being duped.
So
why? But not together.
But, lady from San Francisco shows up and flirts a little bit, stabby, but Janelle plans his fake death with him, and she's like, oh, well, it's just Janelle.
Yeah.
Why doesn't she kill Janelle?
She should.
Yeah.
They should try to kill each other because Janelle should be jealous of Brenda.
Janelle is horrible. Okay? But I don't think, she fakes a person's death. She is complicit in that conspiracy, but she doesn't commit a felony or anything. She doesn't murder anyone.
No, she doesn't murder anybody, but that is a felony.
But they,
and neither of them even know that he's already on the run.
Yes.
Melody
walking around town with Mrs. M going, oh, look, it's Declan.
Yeah. Melody is Chekhov's sex crime victim.
Yes.
I'm sorry to say. She's there.
Which should be the name of the episode, but I could not put that on YouTube.
That wouldn't be okay.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have to be there.
No.
They don't find out about his fire crime because of her. They find out about it because of his record. And I love his mugshot in his old police file.
Yes.
It looks like his face is shoved up against the camera lens or something.
Tom Romansky.
Yeah. But yeah. And then the last final humiliation of Declan is that the poem is about his mother.
Yeah. There are a lot of motives of the writers in this episode that were easily seen. So
even Scarlett says when she reads the poem, I feel like it was written for me.
Well, I think they're goofing on that idea too.
Yeah. Insta groupies.
Yeah, that parasocial relationship thing.
It's crazy fun.
Yeah.
I don't think that the way they play the game would work.
No,
I don't understand
I'm so
how
glad
it
the
could
Clue
possibly
stuff
work.
is there, though, because I thought the whole episode was just the fake death, and I was like,
Boring.
I'm not sure if this is going to be exciting. And then the Clue stuff's happened. I'm like, oh, this gets interesting.
It looks like a fun night.
Yes.
If you're not playing with jerks
Or stabbies.
who kill people because your boyfriend hit on her. She didn't do anything wrong. Just imagine if you're Scarlett's family.
Yeah. Hey, okay.
Like, wait a minute. She went all the way to New Zealand to hang out with these people who love the board game that she loves.
And they killed her.
And then put her body in another guy's casket. And then she was on the front page of the newspaper, basically naked and dead. What?
And they probably don't even know yet.
Yeah. It's just bad. The poor woman.
Thank God
She just came to have fun.
Ginger Spleen was on the scene.
He's on the case.
And that.
It's better than Spleen Ranger.
Yes. So what happens after the credits?
Scarlett's family shows up and they are mad.
I'm glad they solved this problem, but they're going to sue
Everybody.
everyone.
So Janelle's going to jail. Brenda's going to jail. Declan's going to jail. The Reverend Green and Plummer are going to get together. The Wadsworths are going to come home and go, what the hell happened
Yep.
in our house?
Yes.
We're never leaving again
Mrs. M goes to another funeral.
for fun.
Jared's father is never mentioned again.
It's sad that his mom died during childbirth
It
and he
is.
never knew her. And
It's very sad. But he had lots of aunties.
yeah, he's kind of like
Crabtree.
Crabtree, raised by his aunties.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the flower shop is going to close.
Yeah.
And
Well, maybe the rug shop will expand.
the rug shop. Maybe Mr. Bugle will reach out to the Rainbirds and get some advice on running a successful
Maybe.
funeral home.
He needs some satin service.
So that is Over Her Dead Body, Brokenwood Season 3, Episode 2.
Dead body of the week has to be Arthur.
Arthur's
Yeah.
the dead body of
Yeah,
the week.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Next week, the return of Frodo.
Yes.
Frodo is back. On December 23rd, we will release. I can't believe how close it is to Christmas. The Brokenwood Mystery, Season 3, Episode 3, The Killing Machine, which should be entitled The Return of Frodo,
Yes.
because that is the most important thing that happens in it.
Not that the rest of the episode isn't fun.
Now-
but for us, that's the most
The
important
next
part.
episode is A Merry Bloody Christmas, which is the Christmas episode that we did, I believe, 2 or more years ago.
Yep.
So we covered that. That's why we ordered the pies.
Yes. I think we're good.
They were good.
But we're going to do a little bit of a remix for it, so it'll still be worth listening to. We'll add some new stuff.
We'll add a little bit in the new stuff.
A few surprises.
And I'm gonna, because I love our listeners, I love you all. I'm gonna drop that on the 24th of December.
Christmas Eve.
Little Christmas Eve present for you all.
Awesome.
So you get 2 episodes next week of Mystery Maniacs.
Awesome.
Then we're on break. I don't know when we're coming back. We'll probably cover more Brokenwood.
It won't be like a week or so, but it won't be. Don't say we don't know when we're coming back.
It'll
we're going to
probably
be gone for a long time.
It'll
We're
probably be the 6th of January.
Yeah.
When we return. So
We just need a week
yep.
for the
And
holiday.
then the first episode of the next season is the parachuting episode.
Where Gina comes into full bloom in all of her
Yes.
craziness.
Yes. So we'll move on to season 4 of Brokenwood. So
All right. Sounds good. Until then,
watch all the good things.
Black Doves, Shetland, Dalgleish. Look out for Sister Boniface. The Christmas special. Chelsea Detective is starting.
All that is starting. And
Go
we'll
out and check out the subreddit for
talk about that.
posts about homemade presents and recipes and stuff.
Yes, and we will talk to you in a week. But thank you for all the love you gave us over the last 2 weeks. And bye, Maniacs.
Bye, Maniacs.
Thanks for joining us on the Mystery Maniacs podcast. If you enjoyed our crazy podcast today, don't miss out on future episodes. Follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content, and exclusive sneak peeks. Subscribe, like, and share to spread the word. Bye, Maniacs.
What's the name of the lady who works for the newspaper, the photographer who's got the crazy name?
Kushala.
Kushala.